So let's talk about what's happening with the crackdown in D.C. crime. And we see the huge presence of the National Guard. 4 or 5 states have put their National Guard members into the more high-trafficked areas, allowing the cops to go into the more challenging areas and make some big-time arrests. Look at these totals.
Yeah, look at the numbers. Over 910 total arrests. This is just since August 7th. 5 known gang members, MS-13 members, 101 firearms have been seized and taken off the streets. 49 homeless encampments have been cleared away.
And Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is very upset about this.
Why? Why would he be upset?
Because he's worried about tyranny, he says. And so all the talk of Trump sending the National Guard to Chicago, and this is what he had to say.
Well, again, you know, the city of Chicago does not need a military-occupied state. That's not who we are. Here's the bottom line. They don't have police power. There's nothing they can do. You know, these are federal troops. They do not go through the training that our police officers go through, so they cannot even enact police authority. We're not going to surrender our humanity to this tyrant. I can tell you this, the city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
You know, we can have all kinds of debates, constitutional debates, all kinds of debates about sending federal troops into cities like this. But to worry about tyranny and not be concerned about the tyranny of lawlessness and the tyranny of crime that all of his residents live under right now.
I just don't understand why they wouldn't want to clean up these cities. I mean, D.C. needed to be cleaned up, and it looks like it has been.
Over 200 people were killed in the past year, and he's beating his chest saying, oh, isn't this great?
93 arrests on Saturday, and out of those, 46 were illegal aliens, and that's in D.C. But fine, you don't want them, send them to New York, please. Please, Donald Trump, send them here, clean up these streets.
Right.
I welcome it.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who goes to Chicago and says, this is the soul of America. They go to Chicago and go, this city used to be great.
Right.
And our mayor is so terrible. He's got, I believe, I was just looking it up, he's got 26% approval rating. That's pretty horrendous. That's so awful, it's hard to imagine. In a huge Democratic city that put him in office, they are predominantly beside themselves with this ineptness. So President Trump's going to come in, and it's going to be a hostile situation. I kind of feel bad for the National Guard because they're going to get some pushback. But, you know, I bet you the cops on the street will love it. So I just think now, I know the Secretary of Defense allowed the National Guard to carry guns in D.C. now. So I hope they were able to defend themselves and are not targeted in Chicago because it's extremely dangerous. In Maryland, Wes Moore challenged President Trump to walk the streets with him. And Trump basically says, watch your mouth, clean up your city, and don't worry about me walking through the city. And when Wes Moore goes out there and talks about how great Baltimore is, you might think things are heading in the right direction. That's what you say. You don't say Baltimore is a city that is not ridden and overrun with crime and looks like the city that was once great but isn't anymore.
And you know what's kind of interesting about every single one of the, whether it's Brandon Johnson or Wes Moore, they complain about everything that Donald Trump is doing, but their party and their policies have governed those cities for decades.
By the way, the president today, executive order, getting rid of cashless bail.
Yes,
in places
front
like
page
that.
of the Post.
And they're going to sue back, and we're going to bring this forward.
Bail and farewell.
And my question is, if you don't like the idea of what Trump is doing, name for me one single solution, one single idea that is going to be different, that is going to change the situation, and nobody has.
Well, people in Maryland and Baltimore, they can't sell their houses. Remember we talked about this a few weeks ago. There was an article. They interviewed residents who used to live in really thriving neighborhoods, beautiful neighborhoods. Kids could go outside. They could have picnics outside. They could sit on their front porches, and the people can't sell their houses because right across the street were people selling drugs.
Right. And by the way, they had a panel on ABC talking about D.C. crime, and it's always teens to lean left. Not this time. Rachel Bates said, no, it's really bad. I left the city because they broke into my car one time too many. So it's people that live in D.C., even if they don't vote for Trump, are saying, I cannot sit here with a straight face and tell you there's not a crime problem.
Well, we will have a familiar face to you, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro, up at 8:20 this morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.